Sri Goswami said, thus being deeply absorbed in thinking of the instructions of the Lord, which were imparted in the great intimacy of friendship, and in thinking of his lotus feet, Arjuna's mind became pacified and free from all material contamination. Purport: since the Lord is absolute, deep meditation upon him is as good as yogic trance. The Lord is non-different from his name, form, quality, pastimes, entourage, and specific actions. Arjuna began to think of the Lord's instructions to him on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Only those instructions began to eliminate the tinges of material contamination in the mind of Arjuna. The Lord is like the sun. The sun's appearance means immediate dissipation of darkness or ignorance, and the Lord's appearance within the mind of the devotee can at once drive away the miserable material effects. Lord Chaitanya has therefore recommended constant chanting of the name of the Lord for protection from all contamination of the material world. The feeling of separation from the Lord is undoubtedly painful to the devotee, but because it is in connection with the Lord, it has a specific transcendental effect which pacifies the heart. Feelings of separation are also sources of transcendental bliss, and they are never comparable to contaminated material feelings of separation. So hardena vigadena, very deep and intimate friendship. So hardena, from the word suhrit, which means a heart-to-heart friend. Prabhupada once explained the 3 levels of friends. Mitra means general well-wisher, little more than an acquaintance. Bandhu means friend, good, someone you're good terms with. You know well and you're on good terms with. And suhrit means heart-to-heart friend. Sometimes that's called, even more close description, egatna, that two souls or 2 persons, they're one by their such close relationship. So Arjuna and Krishna, they are heart-to-heart friends. One heart is the same, no need for heart transplant. Sadhavo hridayo mahyam sadhunam hridayam toham adanyatena jananti naham tebhyo managapi. When Durrasa Muni came to Lord Vishnu seeking protection, what an escapade that was. That he wanted to kill Ambarish Maharaj. But instead, he was being chased by the Sudarshan Chakra to kill him. So he went everywhere. He who was the attacker was going everywhere looking for someone to protect him. And he went everywhere all over the universe, no one to protect him, no one capable of doing so, and no one willing to do so. So eventually he went to Lord Vishnu, who had sent the Sudarshan Chakra in the first place. Tell him to leave me alone. So I can't. It's your chakra, you should tell it. Not. But my heart is not in my control. You have insulted my devotee. And Prabhupada translates that the devotees are in my heart and I am in their heart. But actually, if you see the original wording, it says that the sadhus are my heart and I am their heart. It's like Gangayam Ghosh, like that. So because it actually says the saints are my heart, but because it's understood, it's figurative language, so it's that they're in my heart. They know nothing but me and I know nothing but them. So this is heart-to-heart friendship, which Krishna shares with so many, with an unlimited number of devotees. Sometimes there is romantic stories in which someone says to another, I cannot love you, I've already given my heart to someone else. But Krishna gives his heart to his devotee, and gives it to another one, and another one, and another one, and another one. And it's not divided. He gives his full heart to every devotee. If the devotee gives his full heart to Krishna. But so how is that possible? That's possible because he is Suhridam Sarvabhutanam. He is the Suhrid, or the heart-to-heart friend of every living being. He is the Bhuktaram Yagya Tapasa. He is the enjoyer of all sacrifices and austerity. He is Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. Yeah, the proprietor of all, controller of all planets, supreme control. But that's not very important. Yeah, okay, I'm God. I'm not very interested in God. The real thing I'm interested in is my devotee. There are so many examples. When Lord Brahma came, of course he's also a devotee. He was praying to Krishna, yes, I'm very sorry, I insulted you, and I took away your cows, and your cow had boys, and praising Krishna in actually very important philosophical terms. And Krishna said, I'd really like to get back to playing with my friends. But this funny fellow with 4 heads, he looks quite upset, so I guess I'd better humor him. I hope he finishes quickly. People in the material world, they try so hard to become big and powerful and famous. Well, Krishna's the biggest and most powerful and most famous. But what he's really interested in is playing with his friends. Who can understand? Arjuna is a friend of Krishna. He's a friend in his Dwaraka Leela. Of course, Arjuna is mostly based in Hastinapur. But Krishna again and again would make the journey from Dwarka to Hastinapur to see the Pandavas, and especially Arjuna. He loves all the Pandavas, but he's known to be especially close to Arjuna. So their relationship is very deep and very intimate. And Krishna, playing like an ordinary human being, assists Arjuna in all his affairs. So Arjuna is a very famous devotee in Sakya-ras, very intimate with Krishna, lying on the bed with him, joking with him, insulting him. Hey Yadav! It's mild insult, because you see, we're Kurus, and you're just Yadavas. We're a higher caste than you. But anyway, it's okay. I'm still your friend. I'll allow you to be my friend. But when Arjuna saw the universal form, he thought, oh, yeah, I knew Krishna was God, but I didn't think he was God that much. I was lying on the bed with him, joking with him. I'm sorry, Krishna, I didn't mean to insult you. So Prabhupada explained that when Arjuna saw the universal form and became very reverential to Krishna, he actually went backwards in bhakti. Some people might think, well, it's good, Arjuna should, understand who Krishna is and not be so rude to him. How Arjuna actually understood. He learned a lesson. But Prabhupada explained, actually in terms of bhakti, he came backwards, because his awe and reverence increased, and his heart-to-heart friendship, what would you call it? Sokridya? What's the word? Sokridam? His heart-to-heart friendship decreased. So among Krishna's friends outside of Vrindavan, who's considered the best friend? Buddha, even more than Arjuna. Can anyone say why? There's a specific reason. Because Arjuna sometimes, just to follow social conventions, he would worship demigods and engage in non-devotional activities. He would divert his worship to someone else. But Buddha never did that. He didn't observe such social conventions. Natata me priyatava atmayodhyana shankara nacha sankarshano nashriya naivatma chayatava. Krishna told Buddha that Natata me priyatava atmayodhyana, Brahma, who is born from my body. I I mean, everyone is my son, because Brahma is directly born from my body. And Lord Shiva, who is described as Vaishnavam Yatha Shambhu, is in the list of comparisons here. He's given as an example of a great Vaishnava. He is Shankara, means he makes auspiciousness. Even my own brother, Balaram, and even Lakshmi, my wife, and even myself are not as dear to me as you are, Uddhava.
Nejsou tak drazí jako ty, Uddhavo.
So, Krishna is instructing Uddhava. Yes, I really love you a lot. But I'm leaving this world now and you have to stay. Don't come with me now. Telling him, I love you genuinely, but I'm not leaving you behind because I don't like you. I'm leaving you behind because I love you so much. Because only you can be trusted with the message that I have to give. Uddhava was a messenger for Krishna. Krishna trusted him as a messenger. When he had very important messages to give, he sent Uddhava. Very important means when he had to send some message to his devotees. So Uddhava was sent to Vrindavan when Krishna he knew that the Brijvasis, they're all dead out of separation from me, but they're just staying alive, just with the hope that I might come back. Because I said I'd come back, they don't really believe it, because they don't trust me anymore. But they're still hoping, and this way they're staying alive. So Uddhava was sent with a message from Krishna to the Brijvasis, giving them some instructions in meditation and yoga. Which, of course, the Brijvasis are also already far, far, far above the level of meditation and yoga. Koti Shatavatsara Sampradam Yoga Yora Tapilan Soli Pundavaram So Vyasti Yadvaka Sini Vinchinti Tattva Indravani Kurashantam. The yogis, by severe meditation, severe austerities, meditation, controlling the breath, over many, many millions of years of such difficult practice, they can hardly even aspire to come anywhere near seeing the tip of the toe of the lotus feet of Buddha. But Krishna himself is desiring to see the Brijvasis. He's running after them. So it was a great surprise that one day he ran away. So he sent Uddhava to pacify them and give them instructions. But then Uddhava, he understood that actually I've been sent here to give instructions to the Brijvasis, but I'm learning from them. I have to learn from them what is bhakti. Everyone said that Uddhava is the greatest devotee, but now I understand that I didn't really know what bhakti is at all. So Uddhava entered Vrindavan, although he's part of Dwarka Lila. And his place is in Dwarka, giving pleasure to Krishna in his Dwarka Lila. But he aspires to be some leaf or creeper in Vrindavan.
No.
He thinks if I could attain this position, that would be more exalted than being known as the best devotee of Krishna in Dwarka. If I became the leaf or some shrub in Vrindavan, then sometimes the gopis, they might tread on me, and then I would get the mercy of the dust of the lotus feet. Trusted messenger. And it was time for Krishna to leave the world. But one thing he hadn't done. He was there for 125 years, and he spent time in Vrindavan, and the rest of the time he was actually very busy. He had so many obligations to fulfill. He had devotees all over the universe. So many of them would come to visit him, different demigods and rishis. But he also went to visit different persons who couldn't come to see him. Just like Bali Maharaj. It's a little difficult for him to come because he was known as a demon. He went to see Mahavishnu. It was difficult for Mahavishnu to come. because there's not much space for him. So when Krishna went to see Mahavishnu, where else did he go? He went to Kundina to kidnap Rukmini. He went to Kashi to burn the whole city to shreds, Varanasi. Then he went to Magad, to Jarasandha, oversee Jarasandha's slaughter. Although it's not mentioned in Bhagavatam, he went to Navadvip. Then so many times he went to Hastinapur, he went to passing from all the places on the way. Then Kurukshetra. And beyond this planet, he said he went to Sutala to see Bali Maharaj. Then he went to the bottom of the universe, to Kamaraj's place, to look for the son of his teacher, Sandipani Muni. And in that pastime he also travelled all throughout the ocean and gave mercy to all the aquatics while looking for the son of his teacher. He went to the heavenly planets to return the earrings that were stolen by Narakasura. So in this way he travelled extensively, and in this way gave mercy to so many different devotees. But he hadn't been to Bhadragashram, where Narayana Rishi, because it's a big job. It's a big endeavor to go, and it takes a few months to go walking from Haridwar to Bhadragashram. You can take a bus in 24 hours. And if you're God, you can just do it as you like, but as Krishna was playing Naralila, playing like a human being, you would have to go by the walking method. So he didn't have time to get up to Bhadragashram, but he wanted to give instruction and give his association to Narayana Rishi and the sages accompanying him now. So when he was leaving this world, he said, Uddhava, you go. You go and give my instructions to him. Uddhava even looked like Krishna. When he first entered Vrindavan, the gopis thought, oh, he looks just like Krishna. Dark complexion and very beautiful. So Krishna spoke to Uddhava what is known as Uddhava Gita, which is of course very similar to the Bhagavad Gita, but gives more detail on various points. And therein Krishna reveals his heart even more so than he did to Arjuna. Uddhava was even more intimate friend than Arjuna. Not that there's anything lacking in the relationship between Arjuna and Krishna, but that between Krishna and Uddhava is even more perfect. So Krishna was instructing Uddhava just before Krishna was leaving this world. And Uddhava already had visited Vrindavan. He was privy to Vrindavan Leela and some of the secrets thereof. So in the court, Krishna was instructing him about yoga, controlling the mind, and detachment from material life. And then he came to speak that actually these topics are not very important. The thing I'm really interested in is bhakti. Devotees, they love me. He said, Nasadhyati mam yoga. I cannot be very much pleased by the yoga process. Dharmyam, Sankhya, even by strictly following Varnashram or by studying Sankhya, all these different processes. Yatha bhakti, they do not satisfy me in the same way as devotees with their pure devotional service do so. So in the course of glorifying bhakti and his devotees, Krishna he just revealed to Uddhava that, and among all the devotees, the gopis of Vrindavan, they are the best, they are the most beautiful. He said that his heart of his heart, what is in Krishna's inner heart, he revealed Uddhava. And Uddhava was to reveal this to the sages of Naimisharana. So here in Bhagavatam we have the topmost topics of spiritual life. Very foolish, hard-hearted people. They think that bhakti is just some stories for sentimental people. They become so-called jnanis, and being proud of their knowledge and renunciation, they become hard-hearted. So they cannot appreciate the beauty of the affectionate dealings between Krishna and his devotees. They cannot appreciate the beauty of Krishna. They cannot appreciate the sweetness of Krishna consciousness. They become detached from material life, but they remain detached from Krishna. So what's the use? Bhagavatam is the topmost expression of spiritual life. It is Krishna. Bhagavatam is Krishna, revealed in all his sweetness. We study Bhakti Shastri course that to understand the philosophy of Bhagavatam. Non-different from the philosophy is the expression of rasa, which is what distinguishes Bhagavatam. Distinguishes Bhagavatam as the topmost shastra is its clear delineation. Krishna is still Bhagavan Swayam. Krishna is the original personality of God. But how is he? What's the specialty of Krishna? As far as being God's concerned, Narayan is not any less God than Krishna. The godness of Narayan is just as much, and even maybe more, than that of Krishna. He shows it all the time. But Krishna's greatness lies in his in four particular qualities which are not they're not related to his godness or his power, his glory, his opulence, or rather they are a different kind of power and glory and opulence. They are his Venu Madhuri, the sweetness of his flute. Narayan holds the conch shell, love, very dangerous for the demons. But Krishna conquers with his flute playing. Krishna's Leela Madhuri, even though the pastimes of Lord Narayan are very sweet, those of Krishna, they are even more so. In the pastimes of Narayan, he always has to maintain his position. He does so in the most dignified manner. He doesn't have to make a show of being great, because he is great. But Krishna doesn't even make a show of being great. So he has his Venu Madhuri, his Leela Madhuri, Rupa Madhuri. His form is even more beautiful and more sweet than that of Narayan. And his Prema Madhuri, or his exchange of love with his extraordinarily loving devotees. And his Venu, his flute, his Leela, his pastimes, and his Rupa, his beautiful form, they're all simply meant for the pleasure of increasing the pleasure of his devotees. Even Bhagavatam can be properly or fully appreciated by those who understand it through Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So as stated, or Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami has described, Madhurya Bhagavatasa, the essence of God's godness, or the state of his being God, is sweetness. It's not his power, but his sweetness. So that sweetness is particularly Krishna. Krishna, his pastimes, his forms, his qualities, his flute, his names, they are particularly sweet. So this, the Bhagavatam reveals. The philosophy establishes, the philosophy of Bhagavatam Well, Bhagavatam philosophically establishes that among all the forms of the Lord, Krishna is the supreme form. Philosophically establishes means it's not someone's philosophical theory pitted against someone else's philosophical theory, but rather the Bhagavatam reveals the truth. Of course, if others say, no, Narayan is supreme, that's also true from Krishna. And if we say Narayan is the original form and Krishna comes from him, well, in one sense that's also true. From one perspective, that's true, because Krishna appears in this world through the agency of this Narayan form. But if we go to a higher perspective, we will see that Krishna is the origin of all the forms. But devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are not very much interested in arguing over who is the original form, whether Krishna or Narayan or whoever. Devotees of Narayan want to say Narayan is the supreme form. Very good. You want to worship? All right, very good. But we have no time to argue over these things because Krishna is playing his flute. Our attraction is there. So Bhagavatam, more than any other Shastra, reveals the rasa, the wonder that is generated from the wonderful dealings which Krishna is. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has revealed the essence of Bhagavatam. That the real essence is this Sohridena Atigadhena, this the deep, intimate feelings of friendship with Krishna. Ultimately, it doesn't matter whether this rule, whether you follow this way, that way, or the other way. The essence is how to satisfy Krishna. Of course, the rules are required. They were not just made up for no reason. They are required to guide the devotees onto the path of pure love for Krishna. But on the raga patha, or the path of serving Krishna in spontaneous attraction, then the rules, they may be followed, but the rules are not seen to be important in and of themselves. That stage is not to be imitated by those who have not attained to it. But at the same time, we should understand that although we are to follow the rules of bhakti, the rules are not an end in themselves. And if we become attached to the rules of bhakti and thinking that bhakti means only to follow, if you follow the rules perfectly, that's perfect bhakti, and then we've misunderstood. Of course, if you also think that we don't have to follow any rules, then we've also misunderstood. But Sara Vidhi Nishedasya Etiya Eva Kendra, that all the rules and regulations are servants of one principle, that Smartavya Satatam Vishnu, always remember Vishnu. Vismartavya Najanti, and never to forget. Of course, not just remember him, but to serve him. So hardena atigadena, by a very intimate attachment and loving feelings.
It's it.
So, Habe Habe Balo Shede Rama, when will that day be? When I was new in the temple, a long time, so one devotee was saying about Guru Das. Maybe he wrote a book or something about his remembrances of Prabhupada's elders disciples. So he was speaking at Bhaktivedanta Mana, and he said, we are looking forward to the day when we have to, for the kirtan paraphernalia, we have Mridanga, kartals, and the mop. The mop is for the tears. Well, we've got a long way to go. And even we recommended don't show tears, don't be a sahaja. Lots of tears with no real feeling. That can be expressed in our strong desire to serve Krishna always. Mechanical. We have a program to follow, things to do, we have to do it in an organized way. But bhakti is not a job, it's not a factory, but the heart ultimately has to melt in love of Krishna. So we'll pray for the mercy of Arjuna and Uddhava,
Udhavi,
reading the Bhagavatam of the great devotees. We can pray for their mercy, that we can develop this Sohridena Tigara Bhakti, this devotion which is characterized by very deep, intimate feelings. So the songs of Bhaktivinoda Thakur are very, very valuable for imparting this mood, and that they help us to, by singing the songs of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, they really help us to enter into the heart of Bhakti, while we're performing our regular activities in Bhakti, to grasp the mood that we're ultimately aiming for, that very deep love for Krishna. So as Bhaktivinoda Thakur states in one of his songs, Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moha, Mada, Abhishta, Esha, Nachare, Kishe, Pave, Radha Krishna. As long as we're absorbed in lust, greed, anger, illusion, envy, then how can we attain Radha Krishna? These songs, Bhaktivinoda Thakur has given us a whole course from being completely materially absorbed into being completely absorbed in pure love of Krishna. So we may find our level, where we shall sing. One time a devotee asked Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, one of his disciples asked him to ask one of his disciples who was famous as a singer, please ask him to sing Jashavati Nandana Bhadravara Naga. He sings it very nicely. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur rebuked him. He said, you just wanted nada, you just want to enjoy hearing the nice song. Why don't you ask for this song? Gopinath, Amadevedana Shunda, Vishwai Durjana, Shada Kavarata, Kichana Himana. I'm simply a lusty, materialistic rascal without any qualifications. That song, Jashavati Nandana, he made part of the daily liturgy in the Gauriyama, be sung in the midday arati. But on this occasion, he didn't like the mood of the person singing. So that heart-to-heart friendship with Krishna, that is our aim. That is a very high principle. We shall worship the devotees who are on the Raga path of spontaneous love. How shall we do that? Shall we go to Vrindavan and sit under a tree? Well, we're more likely to find Krishna on the streets of Prague by distributing these books and giving these books to others, joining others to Krishna. That is very pleasing to Krishna. Those who go on with this service, they can gradually, as they go on year after year after year, they can realize more and more deeply what is the significance of this. This is fulfilling Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's design. Chaitanya Mano Krishtam Sthapitam Jaya Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gata Mahyam Dadati Sukadati Kala. Venerable Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who has revealed within this world the inner heart's desire of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When will he give me the shelter of his lotus feet? So generally this verse is understood to mean that Rupa Goswami revealed the inner heart's desire. How he revealed the inner heart's desire of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That is described in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Rupa Goswami understood that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Radha he's Krishna in the mood of Radha at Kurukshetra, desiring to get the association of Krishna and bring him to Vrindavan. Apart from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, only one other person understood this, apart from Rupa Goswami, who was Swarup Damodar Goswami. But he didn't tell anyone else. But Rupa Goswami revealed it in his writings. So that Rupa Goswami revealed the heart's desire of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, generally understood to be this. But Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur pointed out that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has some other desire also. Priti Vite Ache Jota Nagaradi Gram Satata Pocha Horimimana. His name be preached all over the world. So those who partake in activities for preaching Krishna consciousness all over the world, they are satisfying the heart of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And one who understands this can remain steady in preaching activities and book distribution. If we do so for any kind of sense gratification, such as that people will praise me, they'll think I'm a great devotee. If we think like that, then we cannot continue the preaching activities, because there's no taste in name, fame and glory. There's some taste, but it's not famous. Plus, it's offensive to Krishna and all the acharyas to use their mission for our own self-aggrandizement. The one who is actually surrendered to their mission is gradually blessed with the understanding of the significance of what we're doing, giving people the opportunity to come from totally sinful life to the totally elevated life of Vrindavan. So one can become very dear to Krishna if one dedicates one's life to doing what Krishna wants us to do. So with this understanding, a devotee can remain fixed in the preaching mission. It's not that the distributing books, preaching in various ways, it's just something for neophytes. When you become more advanced, then you become Babaji. Just recently in Bombay, there was last Ekadashi, in Juhu Temple, they read on Ekadashi the Prabhupada Nilamrita. So I was reading that for the class. So in commenting on that, I made the point that Prabhupada said, we don't want Babaji class. So one man came up after the class and he was dressed a little bit like a Babaji, but with longer cloths, not just above his knees, but longer. And he spoke to me respectfully, but somewhat agitated. That, well, how can you insult the Babajis? They're on a very high level. Actually, when I was a young man, Prabhupada stayed in our house, and I didn't appreciate it at the time, but now I appreciate it. And we had some discussion. I said, we're not against Babajis per se. We worship Srila Gaura Kishore Das Babaji. This kind of those who imitate without serving the mission of the Lord, they were condemned. Not condemned, but the fault of doing that was pointed out, especially by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. So, but then he came up with it. This is something we often hear. That Prabhupada, he did great work. He preached all over the world, and he gave everyone the chance to come to Krishna consciousness. Then afterwards, they have to go on higher. So he didn't have any explicit envy in his expression of what he was saying. But what he's saying is that it's a common, well, there's certain people who say this, that the Prabhupada was very good at spreading Krishna consciousness very widely, but if you want the real thing, you have to come to me. I can teach you things higher than he didn't teach. So it's true that Prabhupada spoke mostly on a very basic level, as was suitable to his students at the time, and is still suitable for most students in Krishna consciousness at the present time, and will continue to be, as it's a preaching movement, and there are always new people coming. But he gave us everything in his books, and if we study these books, discuss these books, meditate upon the subject of these books, then we can find everything in them. Everything's there. The essence of Bhagavatam is right here. So Vinati Gadheya. That bhakti means heart to heart with very intimate feelings. What is the import of that? That we have to grasp, not exactly by the intellect, but by our continued deepening surrender in Krishna consciousness. Surrender is the key word. we hear the word prema a lot, but there's not that much point in discussing prema without emphasizing sharanagati, or the path of surrender. And even to talk a lot about prema without emphasizing sharanagati, it's a kind of misleading. If there is sharanagati, then prema will automatically arise from that. But if we talk prema without any real surrender, as Bhaktivinoda Thakur points out, it's just hollow. It's just some imagination. So Prabhupada always emphasized this surrender, giving up material attachments. Everything will follow from that. Kirtan prabhave smarana haiva. Bhaktivinoda Thakur said that. By kirtan he defined that as preaching, then remembrance of Krishna will come automatically. One should not artificially try to pray, but one should simply try to serve Krishna. Study, discuss Srimad Bhagavatam, whereby to the surrendered soul gradually all the intimate details, the intimate secrets of bhakti are revealed. So is there any question? Yes. Yeah, well, he's Krishna and Arjuna. Or rather, Krishna and Arjuna, they expanded Narayana Rishi. It's a little complex. Because Krishna and Arjuna are said to be expansions of Narayana Rishi. But then, like I was saying, if you say that Narayana is the origin of Krishna, it's also true. But then Krishna is the origin of Narayana before that. It comes up both sides. Any other question? Then Hare Krishna.